He sent dogs to chase us. He sent dogs to chase us. I need to find a therapist. I went through a few therapists. I've ghosted like 4 therapists. So I meet with a man and we click as friends, and he explains to me that he doesn't know who his father is. And I'm thinking I should be a nice person, because I used to be the kind of person that gives a lot. I used to give everything I have in terms of emotional energy. And so I tell him, we need to look for your father. Deep down in my heart, I was thinking, if you find your father and you reconcile your father wounds, this could be bigger than a friendship. But let's heal this part of you, because I was done hanging out and being around people who are just not taking healing seriously, yet I can see the potential if you just heal. And so, yeah, when I look at it, it's just like I was pushing him to go and heal. But anyway, he tells me that his father is somewhere in the middle of Garissa. And I've done this twice. I've done this while in this country, Kenya. I've done this outside of this country. I think some things my parents will hear and just pass out.
I can't. Get out. Oh my God, I gotta do that thing for Nickelodeon. Oh my God.
And so we go and look for the father. And luckily, he knows where the dad is. It's not like we're starting from scratch. He doesn't know what the father looks like. No, he knows what the father looks like. He abandoned him while he could still understand that he's being abandoned. And we get to the gate. We get to the gate and he's telling me this is such a bad idea. Uko na kierere sana we msichana.
Love someone with limits. Please, for your sake, love someone with limits.
I'm telling him, no, sina kierere. It's right to reconcile with those who hurt you. We get to the gate, we knock. Tunaingizwa ndani vizuri. Now this is a man who has something. And we say that, let's call the boy Mark. No, actually Obadiah. For a unique word, but due to lack of a better word. So we knock at Obadiah's dad. I knock actually. Yeah, amejitoa. Yeah, anaja na babake. Clearly, mimi ndo niko na haja na babake, right?
That is being stupid, totally stupid. Totally optimally stupid.
I knock. Baba Obadiah anafungua mlango? No. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door.
Open the door.
You break it now.
Open the door.
We are losing our
My friend, open the door.
And now I'm giving it my all, like, Baba Obadiah, please just open the door, talk to your son. Tell him that you didn't abandon him so that he can heal whatever wounds he has. This is a very important conversation to have. Just give him closure. Baba Obadiah. I knocked.
Kneel down for you. I want you to allow me. I want you to allow me.
I knocked. Obadiah is just in the corner like, it's like he's telling me I told you so, but because you have kierere, yeah, fanya kazi msichana, jitole, lima mlango, bisha, ingoe, ibebe, na unitole uyo baba yangu, uniambie tutapelekana wapi. And I'm just wondering, what kind of a father is this for real? Baba Obadiah kafungua. So like the door, these doors that it's like one door that looks like this. It's like the doors for a prison, then like the main door. So he opens this prison door, like, I'll put it here. He opens such a door, then he opens the main door. And then he looks at us from the prison-like door. Mnataka nini? I'm like, my name is Michelle. I'm a very good friend of Obadiah. While having conversations, I realized that probably he needs closure from his father. I did not even finish the sentence. While looking for this man, he sent dogs to chase us. He sent dogs to chase us. Vile nilikimbia. First of all, I'm like 150 counties away from home. Wherever my parents are, they're thinking I'm doing reasonable things. I'm in a county whereby the language they speak I can't understand because it's not even anywhere near the Bantus. Sometimes when Bantus speak, I can hear because I'm a Bantu. It's languages that I cannot understand. It has so many X, 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 X. Every vowel is sort of doubled. It's such a difficult language. I cannot, even if they say here, there is nothing I can understand. Even the exclamation marks, there is nothing that I can relate to. And the dogs are... Don't run! Murife! Don't run! Nimekimbizwa na kuku in my life. I have been chased by chicken. I have been chased by dogs. I think this was like the 3rd time I'm being chased by dogs. Yes. I've been chased by dogs 4 times. And 2 times, it's because I was going to look for another person's parent. In the name of helping you, here comes I, your savior. And so, tulikimbizwa na hizo mbwa. And I remember whatever I was wearing, iliumwa hivi, ilivurutwa hivi. And do you know how much you cry when you think that a dog is about to eat your ass, eat your legs, eat your head, pull your hair, and then you die? And what are your parents going to write to that? What are your parents going to write during the eulogy? So I cried. I really cried. When I think about it right now.
Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm freaking.
He should have never opened the door. You know what, actually, we should have never gone. Juyo ni kierere nilikuwa nayo for real. I can recognize people's patterns, but it's not my job to save them. There are so many times in my life I could have died in the name of saving people, in the name of let me show you that I show up and I show out. My friends know, like 2 of my friends know that in between when I was 19 and 21, there are like 700 incidences where I could have died. Oh, I have slept at the bus station waiting for someone to come and pick me up.
They need psychotherapists. What you call shrinks.
Oh, we've been asked to remove our clothes in the middle of the night in Wajir and run, or we will be dungwa visus.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here.
We're going to be stabbed. I've been chased by dogs looking for people's fathers. I've been to counties where I wasn't supposed to be. I was in Nyanza region during post-elections in 2022. And immediately someone read my second name on the ticket. It was a problem. Mimi mashida zenye nimejitafutia. In the name of showing up for people, friends, people I'm in a relationship with. Anyway, if you want to know where this man currently is, he's a father. And this is what prompted this conversation, because we were just walking down memory lane and remembering a few things, because he was telling me he's in therapy right now, you know, and he was asking me about steps in therapy, because I also took the steps, and shout out to my therapist, Mr. James Amponsa. And so he's in therapy right now because he's a father of a 1-year-old plus, and the mother is already complaining that he is abandoning the child. He has seen the child twice. Of course, I'm saying everything with consent from him. And I realized, aren't you exactly like your father then? Aren't you exactly like your father? And this story is what has prompted this conversation, to be honest. Because why do we repeat what hurt us? One of the biggest lies that people tell themselves is, I know what hurt me. I know what my parents did to me. I know what my parents didn't do for me. I know what my uncles and aunties did to me, or how they hurt me and my friends and my teachers, so I will never do it to anyone. Yeah, that's a very big lie. Awareness is very great, but it doesn't stop a pattern. Awareness has never stopped a pattern. You can recognize the abyss in you. You can recognize all your wicked ways. You can recognize all the ways that you self-sabotage yourself. But that alone is not enough to discontinue the patterns. Patterns look like, I was bullied, so I become the bully. Or I was bullied, so I am attracted to people who bully me. Or because you were bullied a lot, it means you grew up in chaos. And so unconsciously, you're always recreating the chaos and looking for the chaos. And there's another one that my therapist told me about. It's called the trauma cocktail. You just don't become one of these outcomes. And this is how I was. I had become all 3 outcomes. So, for example, if you grew up around environments where the emotional availability was up and down, in and out, hot and cold. So, at one point, the emotional maturity inside you, the emotional availability that you can provide is hot and cold. So, you become emotionally unavailable. Then, at some point, you're chasing people that are emotionally unavailable. Or when you find everything is calm, cool, and healthy, you start doing things to recreate an environment full of emotional hot and coldness, emotional unavailability, emotional immaturity, just so that everything can feel familiar to your nervous system. That is a trauma cocktail. That is a trauma cocktail. You have all three outcomes in you. So you're operating in such a mixed nervous system. You're bad, you're overgiving, and you're recreating a bad environment. Because there are people who have one. There are people who are just emotionally unavailable. They're called avoidance. There are people who are constantly looking for emotional unavailability and trying to heal other people instead of healing themselves. That is anxious attachment. And there is one who is just everywhere. Now that is a mixed attachment style. When a way of thinking, feeling, and behaving is repeated too much, that is a pattern. Like, it's never that serious. Once the way you have been behaving, feeling, and thinking since your mind grew, and you're still doing the same thing consciously or unconsciously, that is what we call a pattern. And I'm explaining this in my capacity as someone who has been a bitch, a rag to be stepped on, someone who has created situations whereby I can be a bitch, and someone who has created situations where I can be a rag to be stepped on all at the same time. That is the capacity in which I'm speaking at. I'm not speaking the capacity of a psychologist. Fish might not know that it lives in water till the day fish gets out of water and realizes, hey, so there are people who live on land. Ooh, there are things called birds, and they fly in the sky. Like there are creatures for the air, there are creatures for the land, there is us for the water. So until you get out of that particular environment that you are, until you get out of that paradigm that you view things with, you are always going to think that you're always going to think that this is the norm. You're always going to think that this is the norm. That I should be stepped on. No, that I should be stepping on others to get to the top. That if I show you a little bit of empathy and dignity, I have given you power. But if I give all myself to you, then I have loved you for real. So you don't know that there are places whereby people strike a balance and they have a very good life and things are healthy. You've just seen one side of the coin and believed that is how most things should be. I think, especially for millennials who have been in marriages, they usually think that I'm supposed to give, and not use my head. And then you get out there and you realize, hey, people are actually prioritizing themselves, and this is how it's supposed to be. The mistake is when you realize that there is a healthy way of living mentally, but you still choose your ways. I believe that after you hit 21, you're no longer a victim, especially this day and age. Maybe it's another conversation for millennials and Gen X. Maybe for them, let's say 25, because the frontal lobe has started developing, or it has developed. I stand to be corrected. But for Gen Z, when you reach the age of 21, you're no longer a victim. You're like in what? Probably your third or your fourth year in campus. You've seen a few sides of life. You've had conversation with friends. You've seen people that are healthy mentally, people that are unhealthy. You've had so many people to ask questions. ChatGPT is there. There's cloud. There's Google. There's a library. There are newspapers. There are magazines. Information is just out there so much. So when you're at the age of 21 and you're still doing certain things to yourself and to people, you're no longer a victim. You can no longer sit down and say, oh, well, my mother was never there. My dad went for the milk and didn't come back. It's okay. It's not your fault. But guess what? It's your responsibility now. Or else you're going to become the father who never bought the milk. Or you're going to be chasing people who are like your father that never bought the milk back home. Or you're going to be your mother that waited for the dad to bring the milk and blamed all of you for resembling the father who never brought back the milk. Like, there's so many outcomes, but the best outcome is I'm aware of what happened to me. I'm aware of what they didn't provide. I'm aware of what they gave. I'm aware. Keep Kizungu.
I don't know English. I'm not education enough.
All right.
I am aware of what they gave, and I appreciate that. But because they also didn't do a certain self-work within themselves, it has put me in situations where I accept crumbs or I'm giving crumbs. But knowing that I'm no longer going to be a victim, I'm going to work on myself. I'm not going to be avoidant. I'm not going to attach to people anxiously. I'm going to be very secure. And the journey is so boring. I used to think this journey is going to be so easy. I used to think, okay, so these are the patterns. This is what I'm supposed to undo so that I can live this kind of life. The life that I want is on the other side of healing. The life that I want is on the other side of fear. The life that I want is on the other side of doing inner work. Great. I need to find a therapist. I went through a few therapists. I've ghosted like 4 therapists. And luckily for the university that I was in, we used to have therapy and mental health covered as part of the school fees. But I went to so many of them till I found the one that didn't look at me when I was delusional and crying. It is in this same journey that I discovered I was a neurodivergent, and specifically AU ADHD, a mixture of autism and ADHD. It is in this same journey that I discovered I was not only sometimes anxiously attached, I was avoidant because my ego was higher than the Burj Khalifa. That you can hurt me, but I cannot look at you and tell you that you've hurt me. And so I'd rather go die with it. And guess what? Yes, I was dying with it. Even when people pretend that they are not dying with it, we are dying with it. And I remember just one particular point at night, I said, I am done. I'm not going to live like this anymore. And I looked for therapists, 1, 2, 3, and I stuck with the 4th one, Dr. James. And it was a brutal journey. I used to see him every Wednesday and Friday. And at a particular Wednesday, I was so good. I was so okay. And on Friday, I was in shambles. I was in pieces. I was crying all over again about an incident that happened 2 months ago. It is such a boring journey because at some point you have to isolate yourself from the people who used to enable you to be a bitch. And you have to isolate yourself from the people who you can easily hurt because you haven't grown out of certain egoistic tendencies. And so it is a very boring journey. It is, but then at some point you start to see the light, and the light becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. And when you look back, you realize, I just needed 1 year, 6 months to 1 year, to get out of a super black hole and start pushing myself. To be so aware such that I can see myself getting passive aggressive when I need to communicate directly. I can see myself getting overstimulated and I need to isolate and calm my nervous system down. That when I am now self-aware of my patterns, it's not to say that, okay, I know what bothers me and I know what triggers me. It's now I can do something about it because I've also been given the tools and I've read about it. And you stay up all night reading and then you go and use those tools and then you realize, okay, these tools are not for me because I'm not neurotypical, I'm a neurodivergent. It is difficult, but it's one of the best things someone can ever do for themselves. And it is exactly what this particular father is doing to be there for his son. Because the pattern would repeat, that the son would meet a friend and they come to look for him and he sends dogs to chase them. Anyway, yeah, kukimbizwa na maumbwa nayo nimekimbizwa na maumbwa. Na story ni mingi, by the way. That wasn't, it was the first time. The second time I was doing it for someone that I actually was in a relationship with. And I thought, well, you know that one I was doing it for a friend. But now because you're in a relationship with someone, let me just give it my all. Natulitumiwa umbwane. It's like, yeah, when you don't learn a lesson, the lesson comes in double. Here I was just by 2 dogs. The next time 4 dogs. I said the next time it's going to be 6 dogs or 8 dogs. Staki mambo. Get me a therapist. I admit I'm sick in the head. Get me a doctor. Get me a psychiatrist at this point.
I'll never be a player no more. I don't want to be a player. I'll never be a player no more. Me.
It is very uncomfortable healing. Actually, this guy in therapy was telling me it is very uncomfortable. It is so unfamiliar. It is so unfamiliar. It is very unfamiliar to look at someone, realize that you've hurt them, bring yourself down, tell your ego that this is not the time to shine, and say, I am sorry that I hurt you. It is so unfamiliar, especially when you're used to the power games. especially when every little thing you do that requires you to chip a little bit of your ego, most of your life has meant I'm giving away my power and I'm showing you how weak I can be. It is very unfamiliar. It is very unfamiliar to know that you can put yourself out there, go look for someone's father, go look for their mother, give them the tools that they need to heal. When they tell you at 1 a.m. that my foot is hurting, you are available at 1 a.m. to tell them that, oh my God, your foot is hurting, everything is going to be okay. It is very uncomfortable to tell yourself that it is unhealthy to be doing everything for everyone while you're not prioritizing yourself. I remember at some point there was a friend of mine who wanted me to take her to the coast. And mentally I couldn't, even physically I couldn't. Me saying no bothered me for like a day or two. Because there was a part of me that had not created a boundary whereby I can say no and be comfortable with it. I will say no to spite you. I will not say no to protect myself and my boundaries. And everything felt so unfamiliar, but it doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. It means that your nervous system is resetting. And our nervous system has been built for survival, not success. So when it's pulling you back to your old ways, it's telling you that we need to be comfortable and survive because this is how we've always been surviving. But at some point, we need to stop surviving and we need to start living. We need to start telling our nervous system, hey, we are not in the Homo habilis era, but I thank you so much because I understand what you're doing is try to protect me and have me survive. But darling, we are no longer surviving. We are living. I even think 2 years ago, this conversation would be very uncomfortable for me to have. But I'm very happy that I can have this conversation.
We are extremely happy. We are extremely happy. I don't know whether you can define the word extremely.
Have a laugh about it and teach people something from what I've experienced. I think every family, every parent, every teacher, every friend, every relationship passes down something to you. It can pass down love and coldness at the same time. It can pass down pride and low self-esteem at the same time. The choice about what to keep and what to scatter away is always in your hands. And if you're listening to this and you're above 21, you're no longer a victim. Pick yourself up. Look for closure. If closure is not available, heal. Do the uncomfortable shit. Because everything that you want, I guarantee you, is on the other side of everything that you're refusing to face. Me being seated here and giving this particular story, I had to go through that particular story to be seated here and give it. This story was on the other side of the uncomfortable inner work I had to do. And I understand why I am seated here today with all this equipment and this confidence, because I never had this confidence. I never had it. I had it in theory, and then I realized confidence is only there when you do the thing that you're scared of doing. Otherwise, your confidence is just in theory. I'm still doing the work, and I think everybody needs to do the work. Subscribe and see you on the next episode.
Does it better? Body curving, how she swerving like a traveler. We can have a party in the favela. Body curving, how she swerving like a traveler. We can have a party in the you never seen this before. Now I got 4 songs on the billboard. You don't even know about me, no. Used to listen to so much, you know. They said I would never, ever get better. They said I would never, ever get better. Da 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 da. Party in there, party in there. Da 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 da. Party in there, party in there. Da 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 da. Listen, I'm high when she see that motion. Yeah, yeah. No one does it better. Body